Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm the Paid Peach, and on this channel, I love to talk about all things budgeting and personal finance. I'm a 30-something-year-old lady living in the very high cost of living city of Los Angeles, and I work as a W-2 salaried employee. I use a budgeting platform called You Need a Budget, also known as YNAB, to help me make sense of my finances, and I speak about it here to help others interested in getting their financial lives together learn about what's helped me in my journey. In today's video, I wanted to do a recap of my January finances so we can take a look at how much I made, spent, and saved. I also wanted to walk through my payday routine since today was my payday, and it really isn't much, but I think it shows how powerful being a month ahead can be, so I figured I'd share. With all of that being said, if you're nosy and you want to see how I spend my moolah, please keep on watching. All right, so before we get started going through my January financial recap, I just want to go through my payday routine very quickly. And so today is February 6th, and as you can see at the top of the screen here, my payday is today. And so I'm just going to show you what I do. So every time that I get paid, my paycheck is split up between both my checking account and my savings account. I believe the split that I have is 80-20, 80 to my checkings account and 20 to my savings account. Alrighty. So basically, when you get paid, there are a couple of options on how to bring in that money into your budget. If you make the same amount regularly on a regular cadence, you can set up a recurring transaction using the add transaction feature here and input it for whatever cadence you receive your paycheck in. I do get paid biweekly. However, I don't always receive the same amount in my paychecks because there are various reimbursements that I get when I get paid. So I personally prefer just bringing in my transactions manually every time that I get paid. So that's what I'm going to do right here. We got paid today. My payee, I always just put work income so that that's how it shows up on my reports at the end of the month. And the amount that was sent to my checkings is $2,863.72. This did clear, and I reconcile my accounts very often. Why is it showing me that because I outflowed it instead of inflowed it? Whoops. I was like, what? So make sure you don't do that. I basically reconcile my accounts every time money enters or exits because I am a manual entry person. So I reconcile every time I input transactions. Perfection. And then let us hop on over to my savings account. And in here, portion of my paycheck that we received comes out to $715.93. Perfect. All right. So I entered the two transactions that I need to enter every time that I receive a paycheck. And now if I pop on over to my budget, we see that money here available into the ready to assign. And all I do is I assign it directly to my month ahead fund so that all of that money can be used to fund March's expenses. This is the beauty of being a month ahead. In my last video, I used all the money that was sitting in the month ahead category to fund my February budget, which means when I get paid, I don't need to worry about where does this money have to go? What do I need this money to do? I just add it to YNAB, stick it into my month ahead category, and I don't think about it again until the last day of the month when I'm preparing to budget for the following month. So I hope that that is helpful. I know that there are a lot of videos around payday routines. My payday routine is not enough for its own video. So yeah, that's that. All right. And with that, let us go ahead and pop on over to the spending report. Okie dokie. We are here in my spending breakdown for the month of January, and let us go through. I'm going to look at it at a group viewpoint first, and then we'll go in each group and see what the spending looked like there. So my largest spending group was my monthly expenses category group, where I spent $3,231.82. And that breakdown was $1,850 that went towards my rent, $600 that went towards my car payment, $504.08 that went to my health insurance, $149.95 to pay my LADWP bill, $48 for my dental insurance, $41.25 for my internet, $23.56 for my gas bill, $11.99 for my Spotify, and then $2.99 for iCloud. I want to pause here for a second because I was talking to some friends about what our monthly spending looks like. And I was like, on average, my monthly spending is like greater than 6 grand. And their minds were blown. And I was like, 50% of that is my monthly expenses, like my monthly needs. These are things that I actually need to survive. I mean, I guess you could argue that like the $15 I'm spending on Spotify and iCloud don't need to be spent, but the $15 really isn't the problem here. I think it's mostly just my health insurance and my car note that just take up, I mean, that's $1,100 already. And I tend to usually pay more than $600 for my car note. So my hope is to pay off my car note this year. You can see I have about 10 grand left. I think I can totally do it by the end of the year. And then that'll just buy me more funds for the month so that my total spending for my monthly expenses decreases. So I'm very much looking forward to that because what do you mean? My bare minimum spending, not including groceries, not including anything, is over 3 grand. Crazy stuff. Let us continue. My next largest spending category was my life rafts group, and this is essentially my savings and all of my sinking funds. And I spent a total of $1,998.82. And that was broken up into spending $1,083.52 on travel. So I went on a trip at the end of December that extended through the first week of January. So that's what this spending is. The trip was amazing. By the way, I went with one of my best friends and we went to 3 different cities in Europe, and it was just a ton of fun. Next largest expense in this group is in my dental category. I spent $729.30. I got a root canal and like the consultation fee and that my deductible. I don't know what else, but basically I got a root canal done and had to pay out of pocket. Next is medical. This is a couple lab fees, my copay, and some prescriptions for some appointments that I had in January. Unexpected expenses, $40. Oh, yeah. I regularly check how much money I have in my cash stash, and there's like $40 that are unaccounted for. So I just marked it as unexpected expenses because I don't know if I just like put that $40 in a pocket of a sweater and forgot about it, or if I actually spent it on something and I don't remember what I spent it on. But the $40 is no longer in my budget. So I just needed a category to make that clear. And then auto maintenance spent $26, and that was just on a car wash. The third largest spending group was my monthly variables category group, where I spent $810.60. And this is so bad, like so embarrassing. I explained it in my last video where I was budgeting for February, but basically, I didn't do too much grocery shopping in the month of January, and I was eating out every day for the last 3 weeks of the month since I returned from my trip. So I spent a ton on food, $274.15 on fast food, $188.32 on groceries. And these weren't like actual groceries where I could like cook a meal from. This was like me going to the prepared foods section and buying food from there as my lunch and or dinner. I spent $137.76 on takeout, $91.36 on work lunch, $52.94 on household supplies, $39.82 on gas, and $26.25 on public transportation and parking. But really, this was all parking for the month of January. Parking in LA is a scam. That's all I have to say. Why do we have to pay to park places? Like, I'm going to pay at the establishment that I'm going to. Why do you need me to pay here as well? Anyway, the next largest spend group is my nice to have variables, where I spent a total of $565.63. And that is $134.53 on happy spending. I bought a pottery course and some books in the month of January. The next largest spend category was my dates category, where I spent $124.58. I mentioned this in my last video. I started seeing someone or going on dates with someone in the month of January. So anything related to the date, if it's parking, food, buying tickets somewhere, or I can't think of other expenses. I associate it with my date category and not like my parking category or my takeout category. Next spend group here is housewares. What did I buy? I bought a desk on Facebook Marketplace and I'm actually not a fan and I think I'm going to sell it and try to find a new desk. It's not terrible, but it's not what I want. I thought it was what I wanted, but it's not big enough. So I will be making an upgrade eventually and seeing if I can get at least a portion of my money back that I spent. No biggie. Next, I spent $43.85 on wellness. This is probably gym related gear. I started going to a new gym. I mentioned that in my last video, and they don't have 2.5 pound plates. And I don't like jumping by 10 pounds when I go up in weight for my lifts. I like going up in increments of 5. So I bought like 2.5 pound plates and collars and some other stuff that was available to me at my old gym that I need to provide for myself at this new gym. Next, 41.50 on nail polishes and accessories, 40.25 on personal care, 37.66 on gifts, 33.95 on giving, $30 on skincare, 26.90 on fragrance, which now that I'm looking at this, the price definitely went up. So this is a subscription to Skylar Fragrances. They have something called Scent Club where they release limited edition fragrances every month that you can only get by being in the Scent Club. And so this is the cost of the scent plus shipping, but I just got charged for February and I'm pretty sure it was $30, not $26.90. So price definitely went up. I'm gonna have to reconsider if it's worth it or not. And then lastly, I spent $22.14 on toiletries. I want to be mindful here that I know I'm not like clicking into everything and saying like exactly what I bought, but some of these things I think are just like too personal. So that is my nice to have variables group. I've mentioned this before, but this is just a catch-all group for everything that if I were to lose my job or if shit were to hit the fan, these are all the things that I don't really need to spend on that I could cut down drastically and save money. My last spending category was my annual expenses group where I spent $188.99. First being my last payment at my old gym. They required like a 30-day notice, so I still got charged for one more month even though I had canceled. And then I restarted my Nintendo membership, which is an annual cost of $19.99, which is to me so worth it to play online with other people. I think $20 a year is very reasonable for that. And then let's take a look at what this looks like by category instead of group. And you can see my largest expense, which is usually my largest expense every single month, is rent. In the month of January, my second largest is travel. Third was dental, because damn you, root canal. Fourth was my car payment. And then fifth was health insurance. And the rest are all kind of insignificant to me. All right, so that is my spending breakdown for the month of January, where I spent a total of $6,795.86. Now that we've seen how much I've spent, I want to take us over into my finance spreadsheet where I will show you how much I earned and invested and how much my investments grew. And we'll also do a net worth update. Okie dokie. So here we are in my finances spreadsheet, and we're going to go through and see how much I made, saved, and invested, and how much everything grew throughout the month as well. So, firstly, work income, I made $7,516.40. Fidelity interest, so this is my cash management account, aka my checkings account with Fidelity. I made $18.89 in interest. My Marcus account is my high yield savings account, and I made $90.05 in interest, which means I made a total of $108.94 in interest in the month of January. That's crazy. $100 in interest. What the heck? Made $32.30 in statement credits, and then $46.17 in this was a class action settlement. So that brings my total income for the month of January to $7,703.81. I contributed $1,503.28 to my high yield savings account. So this is just the money that I funnel directly from my paycheck, the 20% of my paycheck that goes straight into my savings account. I just like seeing how much money I'm adding to it instead of taking from it. I contributed $543.40 to my 401k. I contributed $625 to my Roth IRA, and then $28.25 to my brokerage. This amount is not money that I am actually contributing to my brokerage. I have the Fidelity Visa credit card and they offer 2% cash back, and you can get your rewards as a deposit into your brokerage account. And so that is what I choose to do, just to invest my cash back there. Okay, and then this last category is just seeing the total amounts that exist in each of these accounts. And so my Marcus account ended up at $29,759.11. My 401k ended at $23,608.36. My Roth IRA ended at $113,894.18. And my brokerage ended at $32,632.62, bringing my total savings and investments to $199,894.27. So close to breaking $200,000. And then at the bottom of this sheet, I have just a little calculator to tell me if I were to stop contributing today, how much would I be able to withdraw from my accounts using the 4% rule today, starting immediately, or at the age of 55, 60, and 65. So if I were to stop contributing to my accounts today and withdrawing immediately, I'd be able to withdraw $6,805.41 annually. This is how much I spend in a month. So would not be feasible for me to stop investing right now. At the age of 55, I'd be able to withdraw $32,261.23. At the age of 60, I'd be able to withdraw $45,248.05. And at the age of 65, I'd be able to withdraw $63,462.73, which this number, this 65 number, is exciting for me because that's like a salary that I made previously and lived off of. So this feels doable for me. And obviously, I'm not going to stop investing and saving, which means this number is going to continue to grow as my accounts continue to grow. Okay, so that was my income and how much I contributed and how much my accounts grew. Let us pop on over to my net worth chart. Okie dokie, welcome to my net worth chart. If you are unfamiliar with the term net worth, it essentially just means all of your assets, aka all of your cash, checking, savings, investments, minus all of your liabilities, aka your credit cards, student loan debts, any other debt, a mortgage, etc. And that number that you get after subtracting your liabilities from your assets is your net worth. So we're going to go through and see how much I had in my accounts at the end of January and what that meant for my net worth. And I did pull in my December 2025 numbers just so that we could compare to last month, or I guess 2 months ago, technically. So at the end of January, my cash stash was $3,300 even. My checkings account ended at $6,072.88. My savings account ended at $29,759.11. My 401k ended at $23,608.36. My brokerage ended up at $32,632.62. And my Roth IRA ended at $113,894.18, bringing my total assets to $209,267.15. And this is supposed to show the change between these, which is an increase of $3,761.37. That's exciting. My liabilities are my credit cards, car loan, and student loans. So my Amex ended up at $203.04. My Citi was at $3,829.40. Nothing on my Discover card. My Fidelity was at $2,023.42. My car loan was at $11,353.87. And my student loans were at $51,962.90, bringing my total liabilities to $69,372.63, which makes my net worth $139,894.52, which is an increase of $3,774.11 since December 2025. And my investment totals, so this is just my investment accounts here, rows 5, 6, and 7. My total investments are $170,135.16, which is a change of $4,633.83 since the end of December. So yay, we saw some growth. And so that is my net worth. I would love to maybe hit 200 by the end of the year. We'll see if that's possible. What I would really love is for my assets to hit 250, which I totally think I can do. I don't know if I'll be able to do it by the end of the actually, no. I'll for sure be able to do it by the end of the year, hopefully sooner, because then that would make me a quarter millionaire in my assets. I know I still have a ton of liabilities, but if I'm being really honest, I don't really think about my student loans at all because I'm pursuing forgiveness. So I kind of don't count them in my head. I obviously do count them here in my net worth, but it's not really something I'm worried about. I feel like they will get forgiven eventually. And even if they don't, I'll be able to wipe it out eventually. So I'm really just focused on tackling my car loan for this year, which I think I can do. Okay. I forget how I end these. Hopefully, this is fine. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you being here, and there should be another video from me coming soon. Question mark, maybe, hopefully. But either way, thank you all so much. I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or feedback. I'm always receptive to it and happy to help in any way that I can. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.